And now let's get to the very latest from the family of a South Jersey influencer found dead in Africa over the weekend.
The family of Ashlee Robinson wants answers. They say the story just doesn't add up. Police say she was found unconscious in a luxury villa in Zanzibar and later pronounced dead at a hospital. CBS Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is following the story from our newsroom tonight. Ross?
Yuki, still a lot of unanswered questions here. We are still waiting at this hour on the results of Ashlee Robinson's autopsy, and that report should provide some answers about whether her fiancé had anything to do with her death.
The hotel moved him 10 minutes away. The attendant just happened to come back at the right time. The autopsy is done, but nobody is releasing it. Girl, this timeline is too clean to be a coincidence. Ashlee Janae flew to Zanzibar, engaged to the man she loved. She never made it back home. And the man who put that ring on her finger? He is still out here walking free while her family is sitting in the dark, waiting on answers that nobody seems to want to give them. Let me tell you something. This case has layers, and the deeper you go, the messier it gets.
In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear.
Ashlee Janae was a young black woman who, by all accounts, was living her life and loving hard. She was in a relationship with a man named Joe McCann, and at some point, Joe proposed. So now we have an engagement, a fresh commitment, and the two of them decide to celebrate by going on a trip to Zanzibar, Tanzania. Now, for Ashlee, this was probably supposed to be one of the most beautiful chapters of her life. She had just gotten engaged. She was in a resort in one of the most stunning places on earth. She was posting. She was glowing. The last images of her from the first resort they visited, Serval, show a woman who was happy. The team at that property even confirmed it, saying she left their resort in good condition and in a positive mood. So whatever happened, it happened after they left Serval and checked into the Zuri Hotel in Zanzibar. Here is what you need to know about Joe. He was not a first-time visitor to Zanzibar. This man knew the island. He knew the people. He knew how things worked there. And that detail right there is going to matter a lot as this story unfolds. From the moment they checked into Zuri Hotel and settled into Villa number 25, things between Ashlee and Joe were not okay. Multiple sources from Zanzibar are confirming that the two of them had several heated arguments from the time they arrived. And the arguments were not about small things. Joe was allegedly leaving Ashlee alone in that villa to go and be with local women. He was cheating on her, right there on what was supposed to be their engagement trip. Like, make it make sense. And it was not quiet either. At some point, an argument broke out at the hotel reception because someone had been flirting with Ashlee, and Joe had the nerve to get offended. Joe, the same man who was stepping out on her with local women, got offended because someone showed his fiancée attention. And Ashlee was not having it. She started calling him out right there at the front desk, loud enough for people to hear, about everything he had been doing. Oh, so now you want to be territorial? After all of that? The tension eventually got so bad inside Villa 25 that the guest in the neighboring villa, Villa 24, could not ignore it anymore. That neighbor alerted the hotel staff about the dispute going on next door. And that is when the staff stepped in and made the decision to separate them. Joe was moved out of Villa 25 and relocated to Villa 65, approximately 8 to 10 minutes away from where Ashlee was staying. Now, on the surface, that sounds like the hotel doing its job, right? Managing a situation, keeping the peace. But hold on, because once you learn a little more about Joe's relationship with this resort and the people who work there, that detail starts to look a whole lot different. Here is something the streets were already saying, and the locals have now confirmed it. Joe was not just a regular tourist in Zanzibar. He was a frequent visitor. The staff at this resort knew him, and according to people from the area, the local police and the hotel staff were known to be approachable, meaning if you had the right amount of money, things could be handled quietly. Joe allegedly knew this. He had been to Zanzibar enough times to know exactly how things operated. And some people are now saying that choosing this specific location was not random, that he picked a place where, if anything went wrong, he had options. Period. But before we get to the night everything fell apart, let us talk about something that a lot of people overlooked when this story first broke: Joe's past. Joe had been married before. He married his first wife back in 2018. And right from the start, there were signs that something was off. On her wedding day, this woman walked down the aisle alone. Not because she had no family. Her father was alive. Her father was present. But her father refused to walk her down the aisle. Think about that for a second. A father who loves his daughter, who is at the wedding, looks at that moment and says, "No, I am not doing this." The only reason a father does that is because he has a problem with the man his daughter is marrying. He saw something. He knew something. And he wanted no part of putting her hand in that man's. As she walked down that aisle alone, Joe looked at her and said, "You will never have to walk alone in life again." He left her in 2021, while she was pregnant with their second child. Allegedly, there was aggressive behavior throughout that entire marriage. And that is exactly why, when people started hearing about what happened to Ashlee, so many of them immediately pointed back to Joe's history, and Ashlee's own friends are now speaking up. One of her close friends revealed that before Ashlee even got on that plane to Zanzibar, she had confided that she was scared. She had told her friend that she and Joe had been having major fights, not just little disagreements, but repeated, serious fights. She wanted to leave. She had made up her mind that she wanted to end things, but she was afraid to, because, in her own words, this man was very aggressive. She got on that plane anyway, and she never came home. It was the evening of April 9th, 2026. Joe had been moved to Villa 65. Ashlee was alone in Villa 25. 8 to 10 minutes of distance between them, according to the hotel. Around 7:30 that evening, one of the hotel attendants was making his rounds, just a regular part of his shift, checking in on the villas. He stopped at Villa 25 and knocked. Ashlee answered. She was alive. She was standing there, and she told him she needed a phone charger. The attendant gave her his own personal charger. And before he left to continue his rounds to the neighboring villas, Ashlee told him to come back for it in about 10 minutes. He came back in 20. He knocked on the door of Villa 25. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. And this time, all the lights inside were off. Now, this man had just spoken to her. She had just asked him to come back. Something about that silence did not sit right with him. So he used his emergency key and opened the door. And what he found inside that room, nobody should ever have to find. Ashlee was suspended from the internal wardrobe hanging rod, a gray bathrobe belt around her neck. She was still alive, still fighting, but barely. The attendant raised the alarm immediately. Staff rushed to the villa. Ashlee was pulled down and rushed to the nearest hospital for emergency treatment. When her condition required more specialized care, she was transferred to a second facility. She held on through the night. The next day, at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Ashlee Janae was pronounced dead. She was young. She was engaged. She had just been posting pictures of herself happy and glowing at a resort days before. And now, she was gone. Here is where this story stops being just heartbreaking and starts being deeply troubling. The director of criminal investigations in Zanzibar came forward with a timeline. And on the surface, it all sounds very orderly. Joe was in Villa 65, 10 minutes away. The attendant discovered Ashlee. The alarm was raised. everything accounted for. But the locals were not buying it. And honestly, once you sit with the details, it is hard not to understand why. Think about what that timeline actually does. By placing Joe in a villa that is a full 8 to 10 minutes away from Ashlee at the time she was found, it creates a window that makes it physically difficult to place him in that room. And the fact that the same staff who moved him, staff who apparently already knew Joe from his previous visits, are the ones constructing and confirming that timeline, that is not something people are just going to let slide. Because here's what the locals are saying. They are saying that Joe was not just a familiar face at this resort. He was comfortable there. And that comfort came with a certain kind of understanding about how things worked. Specifically, that the right amount of money in the right hands could make problems disappear quietly. Girl, if that is true, then the decision to come to Zanzibar was not just about a vacation. It was strategic. And then there is the matter of who else was there. Investigators reportedly brought in around 10 people for questioning, including multiple hotel staff members and a white foreign friend of Joe's who happened to be in Zanzibar at the same time. Like, Joe was so at home on this island that he had international friends waiting for him there, and now that friend is being questioned in connection with a death investigation. Moving on, because the physical evidence is where things get even messier. No forced entry was found at Villa 25. That detail has been used to support the idea that nothing violent happened inside that room. But let us hold that thought for a moment and talk about what was found outside of it. Ashlee's engagement ring, the ring Joe had put on her finger, was discovered in a rental car parked at the far end of the hotel property, away from the villas, away from where Ashlee was staying, and allegedly, there was blood on it. The ring was taken in for forensic testing to determine whose blood it was, whether it belonged to Ashlee, to Joe, or to someone else entirely. Now, that forensic result has not been made public. And honestly, at this point, nothing about this case is being made public in a timely way. The autopsy has reportedly been completed. The results have not been released. Ashlee's family, her own blood, is being kept in the dark. Her father had to get on a plane and fly all the way to Washington, D.C., just to get United States officials to help him communicate with the Tanzanian authorities. A father, grieving his daughter, having to navigate international diplomacy just to get basic answers about how she died. And her body has still not been returned to her family. So what you have is a completed autopsy that nobody is talking about. A family that is being stonewalled. A timeline that was constructed by people who allegedly had a prior relationship with the man at the center of this investigation. And a blood-stained engagement ring found nowhere near where it should have been. Let me tell you something. That is not what a clean investigation looks like. And it is not just outsiders who are raising these questions. People from Zanzibar itself, people who know how things work there, are the ones saying something is not right. They are the ones pointing to the bribery angle. They are the ones who know Joe was not a stranger at that resort. They are the ones saying that the story being told does not match what they know about how things went down. Ashlee's friend said she was scared before she ever got on that plane. She said she wanted to leave him. She said he was aggressive. And none of that made it into whatever narrative is being pushed right now as the official version of events. Anyways, what we are all waiting on is the real autopsy, because until those results come out, until that forensic report on the ring comes back, until somebody tells Ashlee's family the truth, this case is not closed. Not even close. And the people who loved Ashlee are not going anywhere.
45-year-old Joe McCann is facing questions about the death of his fiancée, Ashlee Robinson. Police say the 31-year-old influencer, who goes by Ashlee Janae online, was found unconscious in her luxury villa and later pronounced dead at the hospital just days after the couple got engaged while vacationing together in Zanzibar, a small island off the east coast of Africa.
She was showing us the engagement ring and where they were and where they were staying.
Seeing the sights and
the beautiful scenery. she was happy. It doesn't make any sense.
On Tuesday, investigators in Tanzania said they're questioning McCann and holding his passport until Robinson's autopsy is complete, but officials have not accused him of any wrongdoing.
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
We don't want to have, it's under investigation, and we don't know what went on.
In a sit-down with CBS News on Monday, Robinson's parents said they've largely been kept in the dark about their daughter's death, claiming they haven't heard from her fiancé or local officials since.
The fiancé did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel, and that's devastating when your daughter's halfway around the world.
Robinson's mother told news outlets hours before her daughter was rushed to the hospital, she and McCann reportedly had an argument so severe that hotel staff moved them into separate rooms. The government of Zanzibar is asking for patience while police carry out their death investigation, but Robinson's parents want answers.
We have zero contact with the police department, no contact with anyone from the medical field, nothing like that. So, that's the message we want, just transparency. Just transparency. We have no idea what happened. We just don't know anything right now.
As of right now, there has been no formal arrest in connection with Ashlee's death. Joe McCann has not been charged. He has not been detained. And from what is being reported, he is not being held in Tanzania. The Tanzanian authorities have not publicly named him as a suspect. The official investigation is still, supposedly, ongoing. And that right there is the part that has people the most unsettled. Because here is what we know. A woman is dead. The man she was traveling with has a documented history of alleged aggression toward women he was in relationships with. There were multiple public arguments between the two of them at that resort in the days leading up to her death. Her engagement ring turned up in a rental car at the far end of the property with what appeared to be blood on it. And the autopsy, which has been completed, has not been shared with her family or the public, but no arrest has been made. Now, to be fair, we do not know everything the investigators have in their possession. We do not know what the forensic results on that ring came back as. We do not know what the full autopsy report says, and in any investigation, there is always information that does not make it to the public while things are still being processed. But what the family does know, and what they have said clearly, is that they are not being kept in the loop the way they should be. Ashlee's father had to involve the United States government just to get basic communication going with Tanzanian officials. That is not the behavior of an investigation that is moving with urgency and transparency. And the longer that autopsy stays locked away, the louder the questions get. If this case ever does make it to a courtroom, the turning point will not be the timeline the hotel gave. It will not be where Joe was sleeping that night. It will be that engagement ring. It will be whatever that blood tells investigators. It will be the testimony of the people who heard those arguments, who saw what was happening between Ashlee and Joe in the days before she died. It will be the friend who knew Ashlee was scared. And it will be the question that nobody has answered yet. How does a woman end up suspended from a wardrobe rod in a locked hotel room, and the man she had been fighting with for days walks away without so much as a charge? That is the question this case will live or die on. Until there is an arrest, until there is a trial, until somebody is held accountable, this investigation is incomplete. And the people who loved Ashlee are going to keep pushing until they get the truth. Ashlee Janae went to Zanzibar to celebrate a new beginning. She came home in a way no one should ever come home. Her case is a reminder that the warning signs are rarely hidden. They show up in the stories women tell their friends late at night. They show up in the fathers who refuse to walk their daughters down the aisle. They show up in the fears that women carry quietly because they love someone who has made leaving feel impossible. Ashlee said she was scared. Ashlee said she wanted to leave. Ashlee said he was aggressive. And she still got on that plane because leaving is never as simple as people make it sound. That is the part of this story that we cannot afford to move past too quickly, because it is not just about what happened in Villa 25. It is about every woman who has ever told a friend she was scared and then convinced herself to stay just a little longer. It is about every system, whether that is a foreign government, a resort staff, or a local police force. that can be moved out of the way when the right person has the right resources. Ashlee deserved better. She deserved to come home. She deserved answers. And until her family has those answers, her name stays in our mouths. Rest easy, Ashlee Janae. We are still watching.